Welcome back to Firepower. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What you're about to hear isn't hype, it isn't theory, and it isn't politics. It's the real-world truth that has already put thousands of law-abiding gun owners in handcuffs inside their own homes. Not for carrying without a permit, not for firing a weapon, not for violence of any kind, but for the way they stored a firearm. These laws are confusing, easy to violate, and enforced aggressively. And unless you understand them, you could be next. Today we're breaking down the 7 storage laws that can get you arrested inside your own home, and how to avoid everyone. So settle in, because some of these will shock you. Imagine this. It's late at night. You hear a knock. You expect a neighbor, but instead 2 officers are standing at your door. Someone called about a safety concern, a babysitter, a repairman. Maybe a neighbor's kid saw something through a window. They ask questions. They look around. And in the corner of the room, they notice your firearm stored in a way that doesn't satisfy your state's definition of safe. That moment, that single detail, is all they need. Suddenly, you are no longer a responsible gun owner in their eyes. You are a suspect. And this happens more often than you think. The first law that traps people is the Child Access Prevention Rule enforced in states across the country. It is brutally simple. If a child could possibly access your firearm, you can be charged not if they touch it, not if they hold it, not if they fire it, just if they theoretically could. Gun owners in California, Connecticut, and Michigan have faced charges because an officer believed a child in the home had a path, even an unlikely one, to a firearm that wasn't locked up tightly enough. It doesn't matter if you trust your child. It doesn't matter if the child never goes near that drawer. The law is written to eliminate risk entirely. And in doing so, it criminalizes ordinary setups that millions of gun owners consider normal. The penalties are extreme: fines, jail time, and in cases where a child is hurt, a felony that can strip your gun rights forever. But let's leave the house for a moment and talk about something far more common: storing a gun inside your vehicle. Many people assume their car is an extension of their home. It isn't. In states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, storing a gun the wrong way in your car can be a felony, even if the gun is legally owned and you have no criminal intent. A handgun tucked into the center console, the glove box, or under the seat is considered improper transport unless you have the exact permit required and are storing it according to the exact rules outlined by the state. Violations can lead to 5 years in prison. Even if you have a concealed carry permit, placing the gun in the wrong compartment can get you charged. Picture a routine traffic stop for a broken taillight. The officer shines a flashlight, sees your handgun under the seat, and suddenly the traffic stop becomes a felony arrest. Many lawful gun owners have gone through this nightmare, all because they didn't realize that car storage is often stricter than home storage. If you treat your car like a holster, you are gambling with your freedom. Now we get to one of the most surprising laws of all, the gun-free school zone rule. Few gun owners know that their home could fall inside a federally restricted zone without them having any idea. If you live within 1,000 feet of a school, a daycare, or a home-based learning facility, storing or transporting a firearm on your own property may be legally restricted unless very specific exemptions apply. That means your driveway, your garage, and even the car parked beside your house could legally fall inside a gun-free school zone. Many neighborhoods are entirely inside these zones, especially in cities and suburbs, and the boundary can change at any time. If a new daycare opens down the street, the legal perimeter shifts. Suddenly, your perfectly legal setup becomes a potential federal violation. This law is one of the most invisible traps in the entire gun owner world because there's no sign, no warning, no map you're required to check, but the penalties are severe, often federal charges. And the burden of knowing your location relative to schools falls entirely on you. The next law is harsh and unforgiving. Mandatory locked storage requirements. In states like Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, every firearm, long gun, handgun, loaded, unloaded, it does not matter, must be secured with an approved lock or stored inside an authorized locked container unless it is physically on your person. You can live alone. You can live in a secure rural location. You can live inside a home with reinforced doors and no children. None of that matters. The law demands 24/7 locked storage. Many arrests under these rules come from police responding to unrelated calls, wellness checks, noise complaints, medical emergencies. Officers enter the home legally for one reason, see an unlocked firearm in plain view, and file charges for improper storage. The homeowner is often shocked, insisting they were about to lock it up or had just cleaned it. Unfortunately, the law doesn't make exceptions. To the state, the firearm must be locked or secured at all times unless you are actively using it or carrying it. Anything else can lead to charges. Now, let's talk about assault weapon storage laws. Perhaps the most complicated and punishing set of storage rules in the entire country. States like California, New York, Connecticut, Maryland, New Jersey, and Hawaii have feature-based restrictions that classify certain rifles as restricted weapons depending on their configuration. A pistol grip, a collapsible stock, a flash hider, or even a detachable magazine can shift a rifle into a tightly regulated category. If your rifle is not properly registered or configured according to your state's exact specifications, merely having it stored in your home is illegal. And here's the shocking detail. Every day that rifle remains in an unlawful configuration counts as a separate violation. That means 1 week of improper storage could theoretically be counted as 7 crimes. These laws are commonly enforced during unrelated police visits where officers enter the home for other reasons and notice the rifle. Even if you bought it legally years ago, even if the laws changed afterward, the burden is on you to stay compliant. But the law that surprises gun owners most, the one that sends people to prison even when their storage is perfect, is the rule about living with someone who is prohibited from possessing firearms under federal law. If you share a home with a person who cannot legally possess firearms due to a felony, a domestic violence conviction, a restraining order, or certain mental health adjudications, and that person knows where your guns are stored, you can be charged. Not them. You. You can be accused of aiding and abetting a prohibited person, even if your firearms are locked in a safe, even if they never touched them, even if you believe the safe was secure. Courts have ruled that mere knowledge of the location counts as constructive possession. That means if a roommate, relative, guest, or partner who is prohibited knows where the safe is located, prosecutors can argue that you provided them access. Cases like this have led to 10-year federal sentences, and in many situations, the gun owner had no idea the roommate was even prohibited. That ignorance, sadly, is not a legal defense. Finally, we reach the 7th law, the one that catches more responsible gun owners off guard than almost any other: failing to report a lost or stolen firearm. In at least 11 states, you must report a missing gun within a strict time window, usually 24 to 72 hours. Miss the deadline, and you can be charged. In some states, the charge is a misdemeanor. In others, like New Jersey, it can be a felony with up to 5 years in prison. Many people discover their gun is missing weeks later because they hadn't opened the safe, hadn't gone shooting, or didn't realize it was stolen from their car. But the law counts from the moment you should have known. A phrase so vague that prosecutors often interpret it aggressively. This is why this law is so dangerous. It is easy to violate, easy to prove, and frequently prosecuted. All these laws work together to create a minefield for responsible gun owners. But knowledge is power. You can stay safe by understanding the rules and making a few simple changes. Store your firearms in quick-access safes. Use locked cases for long guns. Maintain a written storage plan. Check whether your home is inside a school zone. Separate your firearms from anyone who is legally prohibited from possession. And if a gun ever goes missing, report it immediately. Not tomorrow, not later tonight. Immediately. If this video opened your eyes, comment checklist, and I'll pin a step-by-step guide to staying compliant in 2025. Like this video so YouTube pushes it to other gun owners who need this information. Subscribe for our next breakdown, where we cover the 5 storage setups that are legal in every single state. Stay smart, stay prepared, and as always, this is Firepower, signing off.